What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to JellyGoonTV, and welcome back to you beautiful people on YouTube. Welcome back to another comment request from this beautiful bastard right here. Love you so much, man. I really do appreciate the love that you give me. This video is an extra history video. The link is down below if you want to go check out the video, you want to go check out the support. This is Simón Bolivar. Reverberations. What? Reverberations something, man. So I have no idea what this is all about. So let's just get into the video and see what is going on. Let's go.
Shots ring out in the Ohio Valley. A handful of militiamen under the command of a 22-year-old named George Washington surrounded a tiny force of French colonials. Within 2 years, due to the interwoven alliances and secret treaties, this incident will spiral out into the 7 Years' War. The first truly world war, a war that would be fought on every continent besides Australia.
Wow, oh,
the
okay.
Dominoes fall.
Australia is just safe, right? Nobody cares. Extra history. Go check out the channel if you love history.
And mind-bogglingly understudied as the 7 Years' War is, we're gonna just look at one of its repercussions, because its reverberations were felt around the globe. This was the great conflagration between England and France. It was the conflict that had to happen eventually. But here in the States, we know it under a different name. We know it as the French and Indian War. We know it as such because that's the war we Americans fought, but we didn't fight it alone. We were still a British colony back then, and the British sent thousands of troops overseas to help fight back the French forces coming out of Canada. By 1763, the war was over and peace had returned, but with peace comes taxes.
Yeah, true.
After all, someone had to pay for all of those troops Britain had sent over.
True.
But a number of colonists didn't much like the idea of higher taxes, and they felt that the Boston Harbor really would be much better if it was tea-flavored. So they rebelled against the British. They were led by a 44-year-old man named George Washington.
That's amazing.
Now, those plucky colonists gave a good try of it, but they couldn't really throw off the world's greatest power without some help. So, the world's other great powers, who wanted to give Britain a kick in the pants, mainly the French and the Spanish, said, "Hey, that looks fun, mind if we join?" But now someone was going to have to pay for all those supplies and troops the French and the Spanish sent over to the Americas.
What?
So, the French and the Spanish both implemented new taxes, both at home and, most importantly for our story, in their colonies overseas.
Wow.
So then the French revolted, and then the Haitians revolted, and then most of Latin America revolted, because they, understandably, didn't feel like paying higher taxes just to, well, help make sure the U.S. didn't have to pay their higher taxes.
Exactly.
Because in the end, it all comes down to taxes. So there, now the stage is set. Now we can dive into the life of the man who embodies both the glory and the tragedy of the Latin American revolutions, Simón Bolivar. 1783. We're in one of the great houses of Caracas. On the lower floor, there's a celebration happening. All the leading people of the city are there. In the center is a man with eyes like a still lake, talking to the crowd. Upstairs, things are quiet. There's a woman lying in bed, holding a newborn child. The man is Simón's father. The woman is his mother. Soon they'll both be taken by consumption. Simón would not remember his father, and he would think of his mother less often than of the slave who raised him, Hipólita. Simón inherited mines and plantations and slaves. The Bolívars were one of the first families of Venezuela, and he one of the richest men in South America.
Wow.
But he wasn't a man yet. He was a child. And there was one thing that he didn't have. Spanish birth. In the Spanish colonial system, there were not only all sorts of deplorable hierarchies of race, but even for those deemed racially pure and white, there was a class system, with those born in continental Spain being more favorably looked upon than those born in the colonies. The highest government offices were only open to Spanish-born colonists. But this bane wouldn't strike him yet. Instead, he grew up as an unmanageable and arrogant child. His father had died when he was 3, his mother when he was 9.
That's
the care
horrible.
of those in which he was left was sometimes excellent, sometimes negligent, but it didn't matter. He was always more interested in coursing the alleys of Caracas with the children of the streets than he was in studying or guidance. Finally, though, one tutor, while never able to control him, was able to teach Simón, albeit on his own terms. And so, as they rode through the fields or walked the streets of Caracas, this tutor imparted not a traditional education, but his own personal loves, Rousseau, Locke, and Voltaire. Alas, even this was not to last, as Simón's childhood was set to a backdrop of revolts. Venezuela, and indeed the whole Spanish Empire, was in upheaval. Race revolts and independence movements cropped up and were crushed, each time with more brutality, but each time exposing Spain's ever-slipping hold. Simón's tutor was caught up in one of these revolts and sentenced to permanent exile.
No!
And so, again, Simón was alone. Soon he was
What?
enrolled in the local military academy by an uncle. He chafed at the discipline, but learned much about the art of making war. Soon, though, he was shipped off again, this time to Spain. But he wanted this adventure. He was excited to see the continent that he'd heard so much about, the place where the ideas he so admired came from. But even on this trip, he got a taste of the declining nature of Spanish power. For when his ship stopped in Mexico City, they were informed that they wouldn't be able to depart right away because of a British blockade. Eventually, though, he did make it to Spain, and then on to Madrid, where he would finally get his first real education. And there, too, he met his first great love. Her name was Maria Teresa, and she was from another respectable Caracan family. But unlike Simón, she had been born in Spain, and spent her whole life
So
there.
she's pure.
He soon proposed to her, and after working for a year to convince her father, they were married in Madrid.
Nice, good job, boy.
Married, he decided it was time to return to Caracas, and take his place in the family affairs together with his new wife. So they set off for the New World. For Simón, this was a return home. For Maria, it was an opportunity to see her family seat for the first time. But as they landed in Caracas, she began to feel ill, and then weak. Within 5 months, she was dead. Yellow fever.
This guy, man, it's just... Wow.
He tried to stay in Venezuela to manage the life he had inherited, but
that's crazy.
Reminded him only of her. And so within a year, in 1803, he once again boarded a ship for Spain. But Spain, too, and especially Madrid, only served as a constant reminder of
that.
So
of course.
When all non-residents were suddenly ordered out of the capital because there wasn't enough bread to feed them, Simón planned a trip for Paris. There, he saw an empire reinvigorated by revolution. He couldn't help but contrast it with Madrid. Here was a city and a nation modernizing, evolving, growing with new republican ideals. He drank it in. He was enchanted by Paris and the promise it offered. But it was here that he found his second heartbreak. Not at the hands of a woman, but of a man. Napoleon. Simón had seen Napoleon as a beacon of hope. As the new man, a true republican serving his state faithfully, guiding a state by his soul and humble wisdom towards liberty, equality, and brotherhood. But then Napoleon placed a crown upon his head. Losing his temper one night at a dinner, Simón railed against Napoleon's vanity, his hubris, his lust for power. This suddenly made him much less welcome in social circles.
Of course.
His friends, seeing the toll the debaucherous life of Paris had taken on him, decided that it was time for a change. They packed up and went to Italy. And it was here, in this reinvigorating place rich with history...
Let me just pause here, man. This guy is so unlucky that he comes to the country and he gets rejected, he gets exiled by other people. Well, at least he's traveling the world. I'm just saying, he's traveling the world around, he's doing his thing. But on some places that it's not okay. But hey, the guy is seeing the world, the guy is coming out, I guess. But yeah, I don't know, man. He's got exiled from everywhere. Let's just get into it, man. This is crazy. This is a crazy guy, man. And he's so unlucky to lose everybody. Everybody dead around him, man. That's crazy. Let's go.
Simón's thoughts and ambitions really took form. It was here on the very hill the plebeian Romans had retired to win their rights over 2,000 years ago that Simón stood and proclaimed that he would not rest until his homeland was free. Soon, he departed Europe to head back home. But first, he stopped briefly in the United States.
Of course, why not?
Too, he was inspired. He would later say that it was the first time he'd seen a rational democracy in action. But he realized it had its differences, that it would be no template for the revolution he intended. And so, at last, in 1807, at the age of 23, he set foot again in Caracas. Filled with dreams, ambitions, and an ardent desire for liberation and independence for his people, he walked the streets of his long-neglected home and wondered what the future might bring. Join us next time and find out exactly what that future brings.
That's crazy, man. We definitely gonna react to another part of this as supposed to here. That's a crazy video, man. Simón, he's a different guy, man. He's a different opportunist. But it's kind of funny that he comes to every single country. Either he gets exiled, or people, they don't like him because he talks too much, or he does some stupid shit. Now, if you come to a country, don't talk shit about the king. Don't talk about shit about the country's infrastructure, the country's politics or something like that. Never do that when you come to another country, because that's gonna mess you up and that's gonna make you live in exile, and people, they're gonna hate you around you. But this is a crazy guy, man. It's funny to hear about people you never really heard about before, because they're really not, you know, the most important in history. But it's still, I don't know who he is, I don't know what he's gonna be, but we're definitely gonna react to more parts of this. I don't know when, but it's gonna happen, of course. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I really do appreciate you. Please leave a like at this video if you really do like my reactions. And if you like the channel, please do subscribe. Our next goal is 500 subscribers. It could be amazing if you could show support. We already over 109. That's crazy, man. It's just amazing. I'm so happy. Damn. It's amazing. But anyway, I'm gonna see you until the next video. Peace.